Okay, no, we're not gonna talk about how long I've been gone. The important thing is that I'm back. For now. I'll get into that later. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to today's episode of Should I Really Start My Video Like That? Today we are not going to address the big elephant in the room, and we're just gonna jump just straight into it. Remember that cute little Bakugo introduction series that I released last January? I want you to do yourself a favor and scratch all of that. Those were prototypes, people! Prototypes! Disrespect! Spit on your grave. Since I made you wait for part 2 for so long, I thought I would gift you with the entire costume in one video. So go ahead and seat yourself. Disclaimer! This is a disclaimer. I am not a professional. I am not an expert. I have no idea what I'm doing. So technically, this is not really a tutorial. I like to do this weird monkey woman thing where I laser focus on my project so hard that I put my body in mortal danger. So unless you like doing that to yourself or you just want to watch me suffer, then let's get crafting. So the first mistake I made was the entire thing. I cut out the mask using the foam first and wrapped it in cheap costume fabric to make it look like it was actually made of fabric. Then I tried to make the butterfly things using cardboard and thin foam on each side. Then I painted them with acrylics. Does that make sense? Does that look good, see? No, I don't think so. After 4 months of the mask sitting in my closet staring me down like a constant reminder of rushed failure, I started off from scratch. Instead of jumping straight in like an imbecile, I started cutting out paper prototypes and trying it on my face until I found one that hit just right. Grab your favorite and trace your foam, then carefully cut it out using a detail razor. Like the small razor, the not biggie ones. Whatever they're called, they sell them at Walmart. Find yourself a friend and puncture the delicate little skulls with push pins in every crevice. Once you do that, grab a heat gun and start heating up the mask so it forms around the face. I would be careful. Geraldine suffered 3rd-degree burns after 5 minutes of heat. And now, you should have a mask that can form around your face. Next part is a little sketch, but I recommend using safety pins to test it out first. Cut out 2 small pieces of foam that can easily form around your ear. Then cut out little explodey shapes that are approximately the size of your ears. Pin it in place and try it on. If it fits, glue it using hot glue. Or, if you're feeling a little spicy today, you can use contact cement. Okay, butterfly things. You want these as big as your head. They are huge! Please use a reference and trace the pattern onto your foam 6 times. Yes, I said 6. Once you're done sobbing from sleep deprivation, you can cut them out and place them all together. Make sure to label them, you dingus! Next step, glue them, and then use primer and paint them white and orange in that order. For this last part, you can probably find better ways of attaching it to your head, but this is my video, not yours. I kind of made this weird structure that has triangle foam shapes to hold up the wings that are also glued to this foam plate bent to my comfort. Then I grabbed some elastic and wrapped it around my head a couple times, hand sewing it to the mechanism so it would stay in place. You're done! Boom! Bam! Wow, so sexy. Moving on. I just had to redo this one. I know I worked so hard on the other one, but I wasn't really feeling the cheapness of it, so I started over. I got a little more bougie and bought a $30 wig this time. Now for this, it's just a simple trim with lots of spiking. Just take one strand at a time and tease it like you would any other green-haired nerd. Comb it back in place and start spraying it. Of course, be sure to get a nice little tip at the end of your service by using gel and twisting the end of the spike. Do this for the entire wig, and don't forget that variety is the spice of life. We need some diversity in those spikes. Make them go everywhere, dude. You're supposed to look like an angry teenage explosion boy. Come on, where's your spirit? Bring on the game. What does that mean? What is, what? Okay, you are now best friends with the measuring tape. Measure the back of your neck, side of your neck, and your collarbones. Get some cardboard if you're broke like me. Use your measurements to make the main structure of the armor. If you look at the references, you'll see that he's got it resting on his shoulders, not directly against the neck like he's got spinal surgery done. There should be 1 piece for the back, 2 pieces for the side, and 2 pieces for the front, which should sit lovingly on your collarbones. Now we're gonna do this thing called Super Happy Fun Time. Place your pieces out flat like this and cut out your foam from under them. Leave in some seam allowance so it should look like this, where there's barely any seams when gluing on the foam. Don't forget the holes! This is a Christian channel after all. Cut out the holes using a protractor or circle tracer and keep the holes uniform. Prime and paint with silver first before painting the holes black to give that effect. Please test your armor. My armor's just fine, thank you for asking, but be aware that the armor can fall if you lean too far back. Okay, next. Steal your mom's tank top or your dad's. Buy orange costume fabric and lay it out. Cutting 2 strips. Painstakingly hand sew the ends down and use an orange Sharpie to hide the thread. And I mean hand sew because, for some reason, this costume fabric does not work when you put it on a sewing machine. I tried putting cardboard under it and it doesn't work. So, yeah, you're gonna have to hand sew this first part, I'm sorry. Sew one end of the strap onto the shoulder and the other end onto the side. Do this on a mannequin if you're an idiot. Later on, use a sewing machine and actually get the straps to stay in place. Cut excess fabric, Sharpie 2 dots on 1 strap. What? It works for me. Want some more paint? Here you go. Wrap your arm in plastic wrap. Go on, do it. Wrap it in masking tape of your choice and wrap it in plastic again. Cut the cast using your most dangerous scissors and trace your foam, twice. For the first shape, you'll cut it out, and for the second, equally separate the shape into 20 pieces. Wow, see how horrible that looks? Let's fix that. Cut the corners. Heat them up. Paint with primer and silver. Glue. Now go back to the drawing board. Make donuts. Lots of donuts. I know you're hungry, but yeah, I wouldn't suggest eating those. Make sure they're proportionate to the different sized shapes. Paint and glue. See these? Cut and heat them up. Wrap around the wrist and forearm. Glue. Go to Joann's and get yourself some stick-on Velcro. Stick it onto your bracers and call it quits. You're done, my friend. Hi, welcome to the most painful part of the video. I'm just kidding. That part comes later. Plastic gloves. Get the ones that fit you good. Label all the parts of your hand and fingers using a Sharpie. Label everything. Cut out all the pieces. Trace them on the thinnest foam you have and grab a pair of gloves you don't care about. Beans. Fill it up with beans, I am not kidding. Reminisce about the old days and then use your heat gun to heat up each piece. Prime it using glue, paint it green, go back in with black while it's still drying if you want more detail because you hate yourself, and then add another layer of glue on top. Here's where the beans come in. Get your glue and paste all of your finger pieces onto the glove in the correct places. Bingo! You're done. Wait, don't you have 2 hands? Or was it 3? Do it all again for the other hand. Buy cargo pants. Now, his belt harness isn't typically found at your local Kroger, or anywhere for that matter, so no, I'm not using black leather straps and calling it good. This isn't a Hooters for Pete's sake. So I kinda did something crazy and went to the nearest pet store and bought an extra large dog collar. My waist is about 30 inches, so I got pretty damn lucky. Now that you have the base, go to Joann's and don't forget to use a coupon. Buy the closest thing to the dog collar that you can find. Don't forget to measure yourself. You want to measure your waist, mid-thigh, and distance between the two. Sorry, I should have said that earlier. Oh well. Too late to edit that now? Once you have everything, start sewing it all together as shown here, kinda overlapping the seams to make it look like it's the same material. Fake it till you make it, kids. Try it on and then paint a white base and top it off with green. By the way, would you mind if I said something about the orange and green spray paint for a second? Too bad. It took me ages to find the fabric spray paint at my local craft stores, and none of them had orange spray paint. They had all the colors, but no orange fabric spray paint. They knew. They're trying to foil my plans. I had to resort to a regular orange spray paint for the gloves, but the white below green works like a charm. Okay, well, now I'm broke again, so let's move on. I almost redid these because of how ugly they looked the first time, but my brother convinced me otherwise. Thank you, brother. Sketch out the knee pad design and trace it out on, you guessed it, a random piece of fabric you found on the street, foam. Flip it over, slice a plus sign halfway through the foam, and use the Dremel to open up the wound a little more. Contact cement. Flip it back over and trace out your holes using a paper reference and using the Dremel to dig in and smooth out the dent. Grab some moldable foam and smear it on there like butter. Prime it, paint it. Grab the elastic! Stat! Hurry! He's losing a lot of blood! Measure your juicy little kneecaps and sew the ends together, and glue it on there. Glue a thin layer of foam on top to reinforce it. Donut holes! Heat, paint, and glue them onto the inner part of the dents. We saved him, Doctor! Good job! I wanted to say something for this next part of the video. The next part is the boots, and to be perfectly honest with you, I have tried to make those boots 5 different times, and they failed every single time. So I would recommend at this point to find a better tutorial if you're wanting to make the boots, because I have no idea how to physically do it correctly. Eventually I'll do it at one point, but there's this thing called money that I don't have. Yay, college. Grab mutt boots. Paint them. Watch the paint crack so you have an excuse to cry. Attempt to fix it by spray painting them with clear gloss. Watch it crack even worse than before and have a meltdown in the garage. Let's try this instead. Go ahead and wash off all the cracks and paint off the boots and start over. Use masking tape to sketch out your design and peel it off, tracing onto the foam. Again. Heat it up and hot glue everything together because you're in a hurry. Cover up the rest of your boots with whatever you got and spray the foam parts with Plastidip and orange gloss. Bam! Oh wait, hold on, don't forget your donuts. Yeah, those. Do the same thing, but in the correct order this time. Then grab a Sharpie and make them look like donuts. Okay, now you're done. After you realize that hot glue doesn't work and you have to resort to contact cement. Okay, the moment you've all been waiting for, the part that makes me want to cry, the part that most amateurs would rather skip, the part that is better looking if you just buy it online. But not me, I'm crazy, I don't need your stinking patterns. In all seriousness, please use a pattern. Find a tutorial and use Galaxy Brain to measure out the scale of your gauntlets. Since I'm such a wussy, I had to make a prototype first, so whenever you move out of state, steal some cardboard boxes and make shapes like this following the measurements of your forearms. Cut them out and tape all the pieces together. The shorter pieces stop at the middle, so don't follow the seam lines exactly. Isn't she lovely? Alright, stop drilling, slice her into pieces, label the parts, trace and cut to the best of your ability. I know your hands are cramping at this point, but stay with me here, you're almost there, okay? Contact cement. You gotta use contact cement or it will fall apart. It's gonna be a little uneven, so don't panic. Just pretend you're an expert and sand it down to perfection. God, there's a reason why I procrastinated on this for 2 weeks. This part is so excruciatingly painful to me. Tape everything. The entire thing. Use a ruler / measuring tape thing, I forgot what it was called, to get the gaps and shapes as accurate as you can and label everything. Here's how I labeled it. Keep the tape on there and use a razor to cut all the shapes and gaps or whatever. Trace onto foam and cut it all. It took me 2 days to cut a bunch of squares. 2 days! I'm melting like a damn popsicle in this workshop, you guys. I hate this so much. Okay, another thing that I forgot to mention was the two circles, the one on the inside and one on the back. What you're gonna do is that you're gonna go on the inside and measure it out, and measure out the back side as well. And then you're gonna measure your wrist and your forearm, that's what you were using earlier, and then make holes in that too. And then basically you're gonna glue it on and Dremel it down to where it's nice and smooth. And then you put on the edges around the bottom and the top and everything. It's a nightmare. What you're seeing is the thing on the side that goes on the edges. So what I'm doing here is that I'm using my actual grenade thing as an example, and I'm taping on top of that and peeling it off. It is the exact same process if I did it on the prototype, but basically you're gonna peel it off, cut it out onto some thin foam, and you're gonna just glue it straight onto the grenade. Glue this thing on first, including the edges, so you got that smooth look that you want, and then glue every single piece onto the gauntlet. Don't forget to shape the pieces before you do that. Do it twice for each gauntlet. Hi, are you alive? Still kicking in there? Okay, good. Freaking make the needles, dude! You can't fire a round grenade, silly. Do that 4 times, and then do it 4 more times, but this time make the little seams or whatever they're called, okay? They look like this. Oh boy, so another thing that's not explained. When you cut out the cardboard prototype, you're gonna transfer that onto foam, and you're gonna do one side, trace it, carve it, flip it over, and then trace it, carve it, and then glue those 2 sides together. And then you can Dremel the edge to make it look like seamless. Now throw it on the ground, toss it around, burn it. No, don't do that. Dremel it so it looks like it's been scarred in battle. Prepare your weapons and get ready to attack. Be sure to prime your opponent with Elmer's glue so it doesn't run away. Let it fully dry, see? Let it dry, just let it... Now it's ready. You know the drill. I like to call this technique the black watercolor, technique. It wasn't exactly my idea in the first place. I actually learned it from a tutorial that I used for the astronaut helmet. I know, I'm kinda lame. Very unoriginal. Please subscribe. What you do is get some black acrylic paint and add lots of water to it. I tend to use my fingers because it covers more ground and I like getting my hands dirty, you know what I mean? Just anywhere where there's a crease or seam and just go nuts. It's gonna dry lighter than you expect. Gloss time, gloss her up. Wow, isn't she beautiful, ladies? Get your free consultation today. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'm so glad to be back, and I can't wait to see what's in store for us in the future. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.